Cool. Thanks for joining. You all succeeded in joining Zoom, so the training, is pretty much on a good path already. As I mentioned at the beginning, my screen and my camera don't really line up. I've actually got myself connected here twice because I wanted to show you what you can do on the mobile phone as opposed to what you can do on the computer, because the interfaces are a little bit different, just so you can get used to that. So you've already seen how to join. If you're actually well, I can't do a show of hands because you don't all have hands there, but Tim, are you on a mobile device or are you on a computer?
I'm on a computer.
All right. And
all closed up, so there's no camera.
Cool. And Margaret, I don't know if you have got working audio there, because I see your microphone is muted. There, oh, that works. All right.
I muted it because I've been on a couple of Zoom things with my Zoom instructor, and she basically was like, "Turn it off because you will kick me out."
Cool. No, that's good. Are you on a phone or are you on a computer?
I'm on the computer.
Awesome. And how about everybody else? Am I the only one who's dialing in from a phone?
Works on a tablet too.
Awesome. Yeah, Steve, are you tablet today?
Yeah, I'm on
Tablet.
a tablet.
All right, cool.
For some reason, my MacBook doesn't want to let me access it.
Yeah, you mentioned that last night. We'll have to figure that out at some point, because that ought to work. Cool. Well, what I'm going to show you then, I'll show you a little bit of the computer interface. I'll show you guys the smartphone interface. And hello, Kathy. She can't hear me yet because she doesn't have audio. Wait a minute. We can all say hi, Kathy, and surprise her. You guys. Any second now.
Thank you.
All right. Well, she's going to get there. Anyway, let me show you Zoom real quick on the PC. This is going to take a little bit of trickery because Zoom doesn't like to share its own screens. It tries to hide all the interfaces. So what I'm going to do here is share with you a Zoom interface that I've got running on another computer, and hopefully that will work properly. So you guys should all be seeing a desktop here that has my personal meeting and a PMI number on it.
Yep.
And the regular Zoom interface here. Is that up for pretty much everybody?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So this is what it looks like if you start the Zoom software on a computer without immediately clicking into a meeting. This is what you might do if you were the host for a call. And as you can see, I have what it calls my personal meeting ID here. When you set up your Zoom account, if you actually register an account with them, which is not required to use the service if you're participating in calls, but it is required if you're going to host some. Your personal meeting ID is kind of the default. I want to do a quick meeting. Here's where people can go. And then you can see I have a couple other recurring meetings scheduled here. Zoom lets you basically put a calendar entry out for things that you're going to do in the future. So I've got our Brotherhood of Christ and our choir prayer circle out here. And you can see those all have their own unique meeting ID assigned. When you schedule a meeting, Zoom will create a new ID for it when it does that. Helps you keep them straight and make sure that, if you're doing meeting after meeting after meeting, people aren't joining at the end of one of your meetings when they're trying to get into the meeting. So that's kind of cool. This is what it would look like here. And if I start a meeting as a host, I'm just going to go right into my PMI here. I can do that by clicking on New Meeting, and you'll see the interface come up here. I'm going to tell it to just skip the audio because there is no audio on that computer. And this is what it looks like while you're waiting for people to join into your meeting. As a host, it shows you the meeting topic, who the host is, the invitation address that you can then send to other people, and you can copy that from here. And you'll see it's got a participant ID. If I was joining the computer for the screen, but I wanted to dial in by phone for the audio, you can enter this participant ID, and it knows that the two of you are related at that point. I've literally never ever done that, but it sounds like it would be a cool thing to do. And then as I move the mouse, you can see at the bottom here that I get a bunch of controls. These are very similar to the ones you get in your own meeting, but there's a couple extra ones. I can manage my participants. If I bring that up, you'll see I have a list on the side here that tells me who has joined. I can do polls, which is a facility I've never actually gotten to work correctly, so that's outside the scope for today's beginners meeting. I have a button to control sharing. We'll come back to that in a minute. And I can start a chat or record the meeting. I also have, and these are controls that you guys would also have, next to the start video, and if I was on audio, next to the audio, there will be an arrow that lets you control the settings for your video. So for instance, if you have multiple cameras for whatever reason on your computer, you could choose which one you were going to use. On some of the clients, you could choose a virtual background there and put yourself in Tahiti, which can be kind of fun, or space, or wherever. And then next to audio, you'd have the same thing. You'd be able to. Oops, I'm going to ask if you guys could just mute and picking up a little bit of echo there. We'll talk about that in a minute too. This would let you choose where your audio comes through. So if you have multiple speakers or a Bluetooth headset, a speaker, you can make sure it's coming through the right one. Problem number one with Zoom is that the audio winds up going somewhere you didn't expect, and you can't hear, or other people can't hear. So if that happens, you could check your settings here. Jumping over to, hang on, I gotta find my real meeting here. Jumping over to what it would look like on the client side. If I have a Zoom meeting that I want to join, and I have the Zoom software, I don't have the link that somebody sent me, and I don't even have an account, I can still run this and I can join a meeting. And all I need to do is enter in that personal meeting ID or whatever meeting ID the person has given me. I've already got this saved here because I've joined this meeting once. And when you join, it also gives you some options. You can choose what your name is going to be. This meeting attendee is going to be called Wombat. I can have it remember that, and I can say I don't want my video to work and I don't want to be on the audio for this. So let's join this in here. And in a second, we'll see if Comcast is up to me running 2 meetings simultaneously on 4 different computers. All right, so here we go. So now I have joined the meeting, and if I were to go back to my other screen for a second. You'd see that now in my participant list, I have Wombat has joined. And I can see that they don't have a camera working. And there would be a microphone icon next to the name there if they had working audio. So I can tell from this that Wombat is not really going to be a very effective participant in my call, but they're there and they're seeing the screen. I also have a button here labeled More. If I hover over their name, I could make them the host. I could let them record. I can rename them. I can say, I don't want you to be Wombat. I want you to be Kangaroo. I can't spell it, but it does work. That can be handy if you have people that are calling in by phone and you want yourself and other meeting participants to know who they really are. You could just say, hey, who called in from 1455? Oh, it's Chris Barnabo, and you could go and edit the name here so that people would know who that was. You can also, if Kangaroo was on audio, I could mute them here specifically. I can also mute all the participants with a button at the bottom or unmute them all. I can also put Kangaroo on hold, and that'll basically boot them out of the call into a waiting area where I can say, you know, we're going to go discuss your fate here. Please wait on hold, and then I can rejoin them. That's actually something I think we'll be using with the Boy Scouts if we start doing our courts of honor and achievements and ranks via teleconferencing. They're in the room for the meeting, but then the Scoutmasters need to have a quick discussion about them, and we could just kind of shoo them out of the room temporarily, put them back in. You can also remove someone and just take them out of the meeting. And there is an option in your settings to say, I don't want those people to be able to rejoin. From a what can I do in the meeting standpoint? Well, I can talk. I can have my video, and if you guys have been on, you know, the conference calls where we have a lot of participants, you'll see that there will be that gallery view of all of the people who are participating on the call. I can also share my screen from here, and screen sharing was something I wanted to show because it actually has some pretty cool options to it. If I share my screen, it doesn't just automatically share the whole display. It's going to give a list of what are the things that are up, what applications do you have. So when I click share, I can say I want to do the whole desktop, or I can just start a whiteboard where everybody can scribble around and draw, which is fun. Or I can share a specific application. In this case, I happen to have Chrome up. And if I share that and then jump back over to our friend over on Kangaroo, you can see that now it says that they're viewing Chris and Wendy's screen, and it's showing my Google screen from the other computer there. It also has some view options here. I can change the screen ratio. So if it's too big for my monitor, I can shrink it. If it's too small for my monitor, I could grow it, and then I have the option of scrolling that around so I can see better. I can make it full screen, etc. So that can be handy if it's not really showing up well for you. I can also request remote control, which can be an interesting feature. I'm not going to try to do this because I think I will screw myself up if I do this too far deep into the app. But basically, remote control means I want to drive. Actually, let's see. I should be able to make that work. Let's make it happen. So you can't see it, but and I'm not going to flip the screen, but over on my other computer, it's asking me to approve that request. And now by clicking within the window, I can actually drive that other computer. Can be really helpful if you're doing tech support for someone. So Wendy and I actually tried this out a couple of days ago. She's got an office that she does some work with down in Ridgefield. They don't want her to come down there anymore because of the quarantine. So as long as someone there can start the meeting, she can actually run that computer from up here and use it remotely. Or if she wanted to guide someone through things, she could see the screen and say, hey, there are things you need to do, go click this button or what have you. I'm going to release my control here. Another thing you can do while you're sharing a screen, and either the host can do this or a participant, is you can annotate it by clicking annotate, and it will give you a little annotation toolbar that you can see here that gives you a bunch of different options for drawing on the screen. So if I wanted to, I could bring up a pen and say, I really want you to pay attention to this piece here in the middle that I've highlighted. You should be able to see I've got a green circle there around the Google. My God, I just sounded 50. And I can undo that, and I can, make other types of annotations if I wanted. If I want, I can just say, I want you to look at these items here and have an arrow that lets me click along and tell people what to follow. Annotating is kind of a cool capability for being able to collaborate on something on the screen. It's not quite like using Google Drive or a shared document like that, in that the changes I'm making here are just to the drawing on the screen. It doesn't actually change the underlying document. But whoever's the host, whoever has that screen that's being shared, could be making the changes and following along as they're doing it. We'd all be able to see what was going on. For instance, if I go back over there and say COVID-19, you can see that that's coming up over here. You can see my edits happening live. So really cool for collaboration. Kids can use it for games. You could certainly throw a tic-tac-toe board up here and they could mark it with their highlighters and, something like that if they wanted to. Or if they were playing a game where they're using the camera, they can actually annotate right on the screen, which is pretty cool. I'm going to clear those annotations, stop that, and I will stop my sharing here. Those are really the core features that you've got within the tool. But one other thing that is kind of cool that I did want to show you is that there is a chat capability. And this is really handy, especially in a large meeting, if you've got people who are, for whatever reason, having problems with audio or video, and they're trying to get hold of people. Actually, someone has chatted with me on our call, but I'm going to get over there in a second and take a look at that. chat basically lets you pop up a window. Pull this over just a little bit, where you can make comments to everybody that's in the call. This is neat. And if I were to go back over to my other screen, you'd see that at the bottom now, I have a glowing chat icon with a number. It says 1. I'm not sure if you can read that from here, but that basically says you just got a new message that you haven't read yet. And if I click chat, it'll bring up a window and I can see what Kangaroo typed to everybody. If you have more than one participant besides your fake user here, you can also do messages to specific users. So you can have a private chat in the background. That can be handy if you know you have that one person that has their microphone going and the dog barking. You can send them a message by themselves and say, hey, could you mute the mic? Or, hey, I need you to, be prepared to do the next thing in the call. Could you, bring the document up? So that's kind of neat. And these windows can be popped out to be separate, or you can close them out if you're not using them anymore. Give yourself a little bit more real estate there. I'm going to pause there for a sec. Does anybody have any questions about using Zoom on the computer side of things? Awesome. All right, let me get us out of that then. And now that I've stopped my screen share, it should have gone back to you for being able to see either me or everybody. If you look at the top of your screen, if you're on a computer, I can't show you this because I can't share this screen. But there should be an icon up there that says either speaker view, or it'll have a like a Brady Bunch gallery logo to it called gallery view. Those are two different views you can use when you're in a call. The gallery view, and it can be a little confusing. It'll say speaker view because if you click it, that's what you're going to get. It's not what you have now. Same thing with gallery view. If you hover over it and it says gallery view, you're not in that. Speaker view basically takes all of the icons of the participants and moves them up to the top or to the side, depending on how your screen is laid out. And you may have to scroll to see everybody up there, and it highlights whoever's talking on the call. So who's got their microphone active? Tim, if you would just introduce yourself for a moment.
Hi, I'm Tim.
You can, and if you're, sorry, go ahead, Tim. So when Tim was speaking, if you're in the speaker view, it should have highlighted him and gone over to his video or just his name, since he doesn't have a camera running right now. If you're in the gallery view, you'll see there's a green box around whoever's speaking. And one of the other things you'll see in gallery view is if you have a large group of people that have their microphones active and they're all trying to talk at once, you'll get a green or a yellow box around the person who's the primary speaker, but you'll also see highlights on the other people who are talking, so that you can tell that, hey, Dave's trying to say something and he's just not loud enough and he's not getting through.
I haven't started to say something yet. So just a quick question, Chris. Where do you see that gallery view and whatnot? I don't see that on my screen.
Are you on a PC or are you on a phone?
I'm on a PC.
It should be at the top, but you might need to move your mouse within the meeting window to see it.
Yeah, I have to move my mouse for it to show up. The upper right corner.
Did that
So
work
in the
for
upper
you?
in the right corner, I just see 4 arrows kind of pointing outward, and it says full screen when I hover over it.
Okay. In that case, you might be on a different version of the client. I'm not seeing that. You can't make it do that. We'll do some one-on-one later and see if we can figure out why yours is a little different.
Okay. I'm also running off the browser.
Oh, yep, that'll be it. Zoom does let you join without downloading the client. You can run it straight in the browser, which is also a little easier sometimes for the kids if they're on a Chromebook, but it doesn't give you the full suite of the user interface controls. It's got a more limited set.
Thank you.
Yep, that was it. Awesome. just in case it ever happens to you that you guys want to join on a phone, I'm going to share the screen on my cell phone with you so that you can see that interface, because it's a little bit different and it's not quite as intuitive. Oh, actually, there was one other thing I wanted to do. Just I didn't show you this on my other computer, so we'll just do it here right in our meeting. When you click to share the screen, as I said, you'll get a list of different applications that are running that you can share. You'll also get options there to share the computer sound. So if you were going to run a video or play back music or something on your computer, you can actually share that over the meeting. That's the way that we do the sermons at Bethel United Methodist Church now. I pull up Pastor John's YouTube screen, and then I do a share computer sound, and I can share it right onto the phone call when people call in, which is really kind of cool. But one of the other things that you'd see in there is that there's a whiteboard. And if I share the whiteboard, you should all get that set of annotation controls up at the top, or possibly at the bottom if I remember right on the browser. And everybody can come in here and scribble if they want to, which is kind of cool. There we go. Someone got it figured out. And then if you're the host, you have the option to clear all the drawings, just your stuff, or the viewer's drawings. If you're one of the participants, you can only clear your own things. One of the tools I really like on the annotation and in the whiteboard is there's an option called Spotlight. And if you click that, it just gives you this bright star to follow, which is a little easier to see than a mouse. And there's also stamps that you can put in. So, fun stuff, good for games, good for sketching out a quick idea. A lot easier to operate if you have a tablet than a mouse, because drawing with a mouse is just aggravating. All right, let me pull up the mobile real quick for you here so you can see it on a phone. This will just take me a second. Good thing with the mobile is it'll actually let you share the whole mobile screen so you can see what I have here. So by default on the mobile phone, it's going to give you basically a scrolling view of your participants. So you can see at the bottom of the screen, there's 4 dots down there, as well as a couple other icons within the app. But those 4 dots tell me I have 4 pages in my screen. So I can scroll to the right here by swiping, and I can see the other participants that are in the call by doing that. And if your video was on, I would see that. If you were, talking, that would come up. You can also see that it's got these little generic icons next to most of us. If you have a registered Zoom account, if you've actually created an ID, you can put a picture of yourself in there. I've just never bothered on mine, but that can be, a nice visual cue for what people look like. I think I'm actually going to put my Tundra picture with me with the big Russian hat and all the snow and ice on my face up there for this one. And then at the bottom of the screen, I've gone back to just Steve here. You can see that at the bottom left, there's a little arrow, and at the bottom right, there's a little icon. That icon, if I touch it, reverses, and it's theoretically showing me. It's not showing my video, because when you do screen sharing on a phone, it'll pause the video feed while you're doing the screen share. But normally you would be able to alternate between the speaker and yourself. Can be handy as a technique of having a mirror up so you can see what you're looking like and looking at. I find with Zoom in particular, it's really hard to keep your eyes focused on the camera because it's never located where you want to look on the screen, so you always look a little off kilter. And in particular, when I'm computing, I have 2 or 3 screens up, and I'm never looking anywhere near it. So I look like I'm just, staring off into space most of the time. But if you're on that first page and you touch that, it'll alternate between one of the participants and yourself, or the speaker and yourself. That arrow on the bottom left, I click that, will pull out, and that lets me stop the share, or I can annotate what's on the screen right here. So if I bring that up now, because I'm doing a screen share, I have some options even on a cell phone to highlight things. like that picture back there, or to bring up a pen, you know, and circle the prayer behind Steve's head there. And it's got some of the capabilities there for clearing that out that you would have on the PC as well. If I stop annotating, I can get back in there. Other thing that you'll see, let me get back there, is if you're up here on one of these screens and you touch the center of the screen, you'll get the meeting controls up. They're slightly different for a participant than they are for the host, but as you can see, I could mute myself, which would not be fun. I can restart my video if I wasn't doing the screen share. I can stop my share or share a different piece of the screen. I have participants listed here, and if I pull that up, you'll see the participant list for the meeting. You can initiate chat with those people or see the overall chat if you press the button right. Big fingers. It might not let me do it because I'm sharing. Oh, look at that. You can drag that. I just learned something. There's my chat, using my phone to be on this meeting. So thanks so much for sharing. You're welcome, Kathy. You can invite people from here. So if the leader hasn't blocked that, you can invite additional people. If the leader wants to, they can limit that, and only they can lead bring in a person. Then I can see your status in terms of whether you have a working camera, whether your microphone is muted, whether you're on a phone call or what have you. And then you can see there's an arrow next to each of those names. If I click the arrow next to Tim Cronin, for instance, I get the same kind of options I get on a computer to mute him, start a chat directly with him, rename him, let him record or take him out of the meeting. There is no put on hold when you are on the interface on the phone. I've also got up at the top, you can see I've got a little speaker icon with a Bluetooth next to it. That's just telling me that my audio is coming through my Bluetooth headset. In the center of the screen is the meeting ID for this call. So if someone said, hey, I want to join the meeting, what's the number? You have it right there. It's available to you. And then there's a button that says leave. And if you go to leave the meeting, it'll ask you if you really want to leave. If you are the host for the meeting, my phone is not the host, my computer is. It would also say, do you want to end the meeting for all participants, or do you want to let it run? One of the things that is really cool with Zoom is that you don't have to be on the call if you're the host. You can actually just set the time and say, let it run, let people join before I get there, and they can filter in as they want, have a meeting and leave, and you don't even have to show up, which is sometimes good, but can also be bad in that there's no time controls over that, and they might just, stay on there forever. So you want to try to bucket that. As far as time goes, and that's actually something I had meant to mention. If you have a Zoom free account, there are time limits on it. It will only allow you to, let's see, there we go. It will only allow you to run a meeting for about 40 minutes before it terminates. That's the way that they try to suck you in to pay for the pro account, is that they only let you go for 40 minutes at a time. There's nothing to prevent you from immediately restarting that meeting though. So you could tell everyone, hey, we're going to be here for a half hour, and then we're going to jump off and we're going to start again. And you can pick up right where you left off. You can do that pretty much forever. The other difference between a pro account, which is $15 a month if I'm remembering right, and the free account, is that the pro accounts will let you record meetings either locally or to the cloud. I'm actually recording this meeting today to the cloud so that I can share it with other people if they want to see what we did. The pro accounts also currently are guaranteeing that you'll have call-in phone numbers available. They usually make that available on the free calls as well, but they're having some bandwidth and supply constraint problems due to literally the whole planet jumping on their service. So they're not guaranteeing that a free call will have dial-in phone numbers available, but you do get them actually worldwide if you're doing it on one of the pro accounts. By default, they'll give you a bunch of phone numbers that are in your immediate area or in your country. but you can go to a larger list and say, hey, I got one guy in Saudi Arabia who wants to call in. What's his local phone number? And you can send that out to them, or they can look it up. So that's really all I can think of in terms of like key beginner concept for Zoom. Does anybody have questions? And, oh, problems. I meant to mention problems. There's two things that tend to happen on Zoom calls.
We lost you, Chris. Is that one of the things?
You know, when you click the mute all button, it even mutes me. Look at that. As I was saying, one of the things that can happen on Zoom calls, you have video and audio running at the same time. It can actually garble that audio signal significantly, so people can't understand you. It actually sounds like a ukulele starting to get unstrung as your voice falls apart. You'll hear like this banjo sound, and then they just fade out. So if you're getting comments from your participants that, hey, your audio is breaking up, first thing to do is turn your camera off. Second thing you can do if you really want to be there and have your camera running is check your video setting, which will be right there next to your camera icon, and make sure that you're not broadcasting in high definition. There's really no reason to do that on a Zoom call. People just want to see you smile for the most part. You don't need to do it in high def. And that'll cut the bandwidth significantly, and they'll have a better time coming through. You can also sometimes get breakup if everyone on the call has their cameras active. Haven't seen that happen a lot lately. I think they've got a handle on that, and they're trying to tune it down. But it really does seem to happen if like everybody's got their cameras and everyone's trying to talk, the meeting will kind of bog down on you. The other problem that you can get is feedback in the audio. So if someone has their microphone open but isn't speaking, and you're talking and your voice is coming out of their speaker, their microphone's going to pick that up and feed it right back into the call with about a 1 or 2 second delay. So actually, I just muted Jenny Garrity because her screen is doing that. And probably everybody can hear it except for Jenny.
Yeah, I can hear it.
So the trick there is just, if you're not the one who's speaking, you want to mute your phone, and that'll help clear up the audio. Zoom will prompt you if you are talking or trying to talk on a computer as opposed to a phone and you're muted. It'll throw a big warning in the middle of the screen and say, hey, you're muted, dummy, and give you a hotkey that you can use. I think it's Alt-A on the Windows machines. You can basically use it like a walkie-talkie key to just temporarily unmute yourself or to permanently unmute yourself, which can be handy. If you are the leader, you can mute everybody. There is a mute all button, but it doesn't seem to work terribly reliably, and it often will mute you as well. And when you go to unmute yourself, you may also wind up unmuting the people that were causing the issue. So sometimes it's handy to just announce that. You can also set up your call ahead of time when you're scheduling and say, I want all the participants muted when they join, so that they aren't you know, breaking up the audio right away. That can be handy if you're doing a web conference or something like that. So I want to pop back over to my other screen for a second and show you a couple things on that. Where's my share? Get back over there for a second. If I go back over to my trusty client here and go to meetings, you'll see my personal meeting is up here. And if I go to edit, it's going to show me all the options that I can select in setting up a meeting. So I can say I want a meeting password, which would be an additional code that someone has to enter in addition to the dial-in code. I've literally never done this. I don't see a whole lot of utility in it. I suppose if you wanted to make sure that you had only the participants you wanted dialing in and nobody else, you could do that and then share the password with them separately. But since you can see who's joining, you can always boot people out. You can choose by default whether the video is going to be on or not, whether the audio would be telephone only, computer, or telephone and computer. I always leave this checked and I let participants make their own choices on that. And you have some advanced options. You can enable join before host. So that's handy if you're setting up something like our Brotherhood in Action, Brotherhood of Christ calls and Sisterhood calls. I enable that. That way, if I'm late joining, it doesn't hold up the meeting. They can start without me. Mute participants on entry just mutes the microphone. It doesn't prevent people from taking it off mute. So there is a setting to do that when the meeting is live, but you can't set it that way in advance. And then you can also set that you only want authenticated users, which means they either need to have a Zoom account that they've logged into. They can't just join at random. And you can actually specify some other authenticated options, like having it send a text to their phone or notify you so that you can hear them say their name when they join, and then you can decide whether to admit them or not. If you have a scheduled meeting as opposed to your personal meeting, oops, I don't really want to do that on the thing there. See if I can show the invite on this. If you have a scheduled meeting, you can always do a show invite and it will give you all of that meeting dial-in information for people. You can see the Brotherhood meeting repeat. Here's the link to it. There's actually a link if you wanted to add it to the calendar. There's the meeting ID number, and then these are the one-tap numbers. If you're viewing this on a phone and you were to click this, it would actually dial the whole sequence, including the meeting ID, so that you don't have to sit there and try to read and push buttons at the same time. And it gives you some alternatives for other numbers to dial in on. I always give people 2, just in case there's a problem with like the New York number you can dial in through Chicago. These tend to be static numbers. Every meeting I've arranged through any of my accounts uses this same 929-205-6099 number. It's just the meeting ID that changes behind that. So it's not, you know, a personal number per se, it's your meeting ID that changes it. And you can find local numbers. So if you want to call from Antarctica, good luck. Australia, maybe. All right, that's really it. Now I really don't have anything else to say. Any questions, problems you guys have run into?
Hey, Chris, on the tablet, you can just get 4 people. Is there a way to get the whole group?
You should be able to swipe to the right or to the left to see the other participants, but I don't think there's a way for you to get the screen up to show all of them at once.
Okay, yep, that's what I have. Thanks.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Sure.
So we started using Zoom at the hospital the past week because of the COVID. So one of the docs had a really cool background on. How do you put a background?
How do you put a background? I can't actually show you because I don't have a camera on my computer. But if you're on a PC and you've got your video up, you'll see at the bottom of your screen, if you wiggle your mouse around to get your meeting controls up, that there will be a video button with an arrow next to it with settings. And right next to that, if you click that arrow, you should see video settings, select the camera, and also choose virtual background. It'll only give you that on some clients. The phones, Chromebooks, and tablets generally don't have the processing power to handle that. But on a PC, it will. And what's cool with the choose virtual background, I might actually be able to pick one even though I don't have a working camera. You see what it does. Probably going to barf all over me when I try to do that. It'll give you a selection of things, but you can also say I want to upload my own picture to it or add your own photo. Let's see what it does. I think it's going to die. Yeah, no, it's complaining because I don't have a working camera.
That's fine. I see how you do it. So
what's neat with the virtual background is it doesn't rely on you having a green screen or a clear background behind you. They actually do some magic. They know what your silhouette as a human being is supposed to look like. So if there's at least a decent amount of contrast in the room, and ideally with some light in front of you to light you, it'll pick you up and it'll separate you from the background and let you put whatever you want back there, even if you've got, like in your case, photos on the wall and the couch and everything. It's not perfect. If you move around or you like try to show something with that background in front of you, you might disappear, or the thing you're showing might disappear, or the whole thing can go to hell in a handbasket. But if it's just you, it largely works pretty well. We've been having a ton of fun with that at work because on our work machines, the cameras are built in on the laptop, and nobody wants to show their messy home office. I mean, this is a disaster behind me here. But we've had people who have attended from World War II bunkers. We've got one guy who's consistently on the beach. My boss refused to participate in Crazy Hat Day, so she put up a background of about 50 different crazy hats. My boys actually are behind me in the other room watching war games, and one of my fellow information security guys had the Whopper computer up as his background for the last 2 days, which was kind of fun. So yeah, it's neat. Another trick you can use with the virtual background that wasn't really the intended use, but it works kind of cool, is if you tell it that you have a virtual background on a computer that has a camera, and then you close the screen on that computer. For instance, if you've got a multi-monitor setup and a regular keyboard, it'll read the black from having the camera in a closed room, and you could put a piece of tape over it too if you wanted to black it out, and then all it will transmit is your virtual background. And it does that a lot bigger than your profile picture. So I have a great picture at work of the mustache in full bloom out in the woods in a black and white photo with my glasses on, and it fills the screen because it thinks that that's my background photo, which then makes people go ooh and ah, which is kind of fun. The mustache is everywhere, Steve. Well, any other questions? All righty. Well, I hope
Yes.
this was helpful. Sorry, go ahead.
I said thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. I'm glad to see you guys joined. I hope this was helpful. You have any questions, give me a yell.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.